This is things I wish I could say in Sunday school. I want to share some thoughts and ideas that are different than what we usually hear. My goal is to be really honest rather than inherently faith-promoting. I hope these ideas may spark some interesting discussions with your friends, families, or classes. Please enjoy. This is the lesson for May 5th through 11th and May 12th through 18th. Doctrine and Covenants, sections 45 through 48. Today's topics are Jesus Christ is my advocate with the Father, stand in holy places, and is the church welcoming? One of the topics for this lesson is Jesus Christ is my advocate with the Father. The manual defines an advocate as someone who publicly supports or recommends a person or cause. I like the idea of Jesus Christ supporting me, but why do I need support? What opposition is there for me? I think it's a bit weird. Like we need Jesus Christ because Heavenly Father is so hell-bent on justice. Without an advocate, we'd all be damned. But that's not the Heavenly Parent I know. It'd be like our parent wanting to punish us and the only escape is a sibling stepping in. That's not a healthy family dynamic. Everyone should be in therapy to learn how to relate to each other better. Yet this is the analogy that we have and repeat a lot. Boyd K. Packer described Jesus Christ as a mediator, which is like an advocate, but even more involved. I just don't think any of these descriptions are quite right. My big problem is that it puts Jesus Christ in between us and our heavenly parents. I would never put someone between me and my children. It's unnecessary. I see weird triangulation happen between parents and kids sometimes, and it's not healthy. Another problem I have is that if Christ is our advocate, then somehow we are at odds with Heavenly Father. That doesn't feel right. I view my heavenly parents as being perfectly loving. I understand that all of these analogies are tools to help people understand pieces of complicated concepts. I used to be on board with the mediator, and I would have strained myself to see truth and value in the advocate role for Jesus Christ. But I'm over it now. I feel like these flawed analogies messed up my understanding of Jesus Christ and God for a long time. The next topic is stand in holy places. Most of the time I hear this topic brought up, people talk about literally going to holy locations. The temple is probably most frequently mentioned. Church buildings next. People talk about making their homes a holy place. Sometimes people will mention church history sites or even occasionally Jerusalem. I do think that people get a lot of value from going to these places. It's meaningful to them. I used to really like being in the temple. I was an ordinance worker for years. Now, as I think about this idea, I think that the reason people find these places meaningful is the meaning that they attach to them. If you go to, let's say, the temple with the idea in your head that this is a holy place, that intent is likely to result in a more spiritual experience for you. It will feel like a holy place, I think mostly because you went there looking for that. On the flip side, if you go to any of those quintessentially holy places and your mind is not into it, chances of feeling anything holy is very, very low. So I really don't think it's the place that matters. It's the meaning we attach or project onto the place. Then I question if even going to a place matters at all. Or could we cultivate similar spiritual moments simply by dedicating time and energy toward it? I also think about places that are especially meaningful to me. I'm about to go visit the city I lived in where I met my wife and where we had our first child. We plan to visit a couple of places that are especially meaningful to us. The first time we really connected was on a bench outside of an ice cream shop. I'm really excited to go there and feel all the feelings from the memories. To me, that is a holy place, much more than any church or temple, even than the temple we got married in. What are some very personal holy places to you? Doctrine and Covenants, section 46, begins with instruction to open up sacrament meetings to the public. Prior to this, they had only allowed members and people very close to becoming members into meetings. People who were curious were not welcome. Now, on all our meeting houses, it says visitors welcome. That's great. But it's one thing to add those two words to a sign. It's another thing completely to actually be welcoming to visitors of other faiths. I'm going to talk about our language and our attitude and how it might come off to visitors of other faiths. We use a lot of exclusive language that people outside of the church would never understand. Relief Society, Elders Quorum, Primary. In the church, these words mean things that are pretty different than their literal meaning outside of church. If you asked a non-member what they would imagine an elders quorum to be, I bet they would imagine it's a select group of old men and women who make some decisions for the larger group. Because, to the general population, elder just means old. Women are elders too. And you need enough board members present for a quorum to be able to make decisions at a meeting. They would never guess that it's the adult men's organization of the church. Another easy example is Family Home Evening, or FHE, an awkward combination of words instead of just saying family night, which everyone outside of the church would understand. Exclusive language is something that cults do. It does a few things psychologically. It makes members feel special because they have insider knowledge. It creates space between people in the organization and people outside. Lots of organizations do this intentionally, like some businesses create their own internal vocabulary. It can make employees feel special and more committed to their employer. Even like SoulCycle back in its heyday did this, and it did create a cult-like vibe among regular subscribers. Exclusive language is definitely a strategy, and there are pros and cons. I think it's clear that it's not very welcoming, but some people find the exclusive language alluring. They want to be on the inside. It's part of the reason cults are so successful. I just want everyone to be conscious of it so we can make better choices of how we want our language to be welcoming to others. Now on to attitude. I think we have a few unwelcoming attitudes in the church. I'll start with exclusivity again. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints claims to be the one true Church of God. That means any other beliefs are incorrect. It's an inherently judgmental position. It creates a sort of holier-than-thou attitude between members and outsiders. People can feel that smugness coming from members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. The next unwelcoming attitude I want to mention is our persecution complex. Inside the church, we repeat a persecution narrative. Joseph Smith was martyred. Early saints had to relocate repeatedly. The Missouri Extermination Order. The church narrative is that we're victims. We never own up to our part, the shady dealings of the church that prompted these extreme responses. Polygamy in the church was the driving force for a lot of negative sentiment towards Mormons. Even now, members of the church feel persecuted when there is any criticism of the church, regardless of the legitimacy of the criticism. We're victims because Christians don't view us as fellow Christians, because people call out our anti-LGBTQ policies and point to all the youth who die by suicide in the church because of it. Or people correctly describe all the ways the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints behaves like a cult. There's a victim mentality. I think a major contributor to this victim mentality is how we are treated in our larger communities. Mormons are seen as weird. But that's because Mormons behave weird. It's our own behavior in our communities that often leads to people treating us at arm's length. We don't know how to just be cool with our neighbors. A lot of that is because the church takes so much time that we never develop neighborhood ties and real relationships there. All of the energy is consumed by the ward. It's no wonder that we are seen as weird. With this persecution victim complex, I largely think that the church and its members have done it to themselves. The reality is that we aren't persecuted. We are not victims. I also think it's interesting that these two unwelcoming attitudes that I've discussed are fairly opposite. We're both smug and persecuted. The last unwelcoming attitude I want to discuss is that we're fine and we really don't need you. I couldn't come up with a great succinct way of saying it. Sufficiency was the closest I came. Gordon B. Hinckley noted that this was a problem and instructed all new members to get a responsibility in their congregations. In the church, we teach members to be self-sufficient, and I think it just seeps in a bit too much. People want to feel like they make real contributions, or they will mentally and then physically check out of the group. All it takes is an attitude adjustment from the heads of our congregations toward needing help from others and then really following through. But we aren't comfortable with this. It makes us feel vulnerable, even though there really is no danger of a truly negative outcome. I think this is the easiest one to fix of the three unwelcoming attitudes I mentioned. And I think we'll see a push from the church to do better with this, especially as congregation numbers are dwindling in most areas? What unwelcoming attitudes do you see among members of the church? What can you do to be a better neighbor in your community? That's it for this week. Thanks for listening. Please share with family and friends. Until next time.